You've probably heard of the deep web. It's being talked about more and more because of kidnappings and child pornography rings around the world. I've heard of a site where people buy and sell children. Despite the internet's unhealthy secrets, nothing prepared me for modern it. If you ask me where I first heard about the deep web, I wouldn't really be able to tell you. It's like I gradually picked up knowledge over the years. And with the little information I had about it, I was pretty sure it wasn't a place for me. Only a psychopath would want to go there. Sadly, I fell for a girl who tried to drag me into that. Her name was Amanda, and we had stats class together every Thursday. I often struggled to approach girls, but when she said she was from Sedona, Arizona, I couldn't resist joking about the vortex many locals believe in. How many aliens have you met? Several classmates stared at me like I was an idiot, but Amanda played along. She smiled and replied,
I think I've met 3 of them.
Eventually, we decided to meet outside class. She invited me to her place, and we smoked some weed while listening to folk music. Only after a few tequila shots did things get more serious. I took off my t-shirt when she suddenly looked at me strangely, as if she remembered something.
No, I shouldn't.
She said calmly,
I think you really like me.
What makes you think that?
You know, for me it won't mean anything.
She said. Honestly, it gave me a pang in my heart, even though I had nothing against it. A fling, no strings attached. I liked her too much to just let things happen. I couldn't find my words, whether it was the situation, the weed, or the tequila. She seemed to fade away awkwardly. I got out of bed, dressed, and went outside. She didn't return to class the next week. That's when I tried calling her to see what was happening, but she didn't answer my calls or Facebook messages. After another week, I was desperate and I drove to her apartment. The apartment door wasn't locked and no one seemed to be inside. I was about to call the police, but I told myself I should look for her a little longer. That's when I noticed her laptop open on the desk. I thought looking inside might help me find her, so I searched around a bit. That's how I came across a torrent file for the Martonet program. She had already installed it, and the program was minimized in the taskbar. When I clicked on it, it took me to a chat conversation between her and other users. They were negotiating prices. It seems the 3 other users agreed to pay $20,000 for something. It made me sick to my stomach. Was it for sex? Was it a prostitute or something? Disappointed, I scrolled to find more information, but the only thing I found was a meeting on Monday night at 3 in the morning on the Alpha server. Then I copied all the Martyr software files onto my USB drive. Then I heard the door slam.
Hello?
Said a familiar voice.
Is there anyone here?
It's me, and I'm being completely honest.
Damn, what's your problem, Leo?
I was worried about you.
Stop worrying. You don't know me. Why do you think you can just show up at my place?
I kept apologizing, but she wouldn't calm down. Despite her anger, I noticed something different about her. She had big dark circles under her eyes and was paler than usual. She had tied a bandana that completely covered her hair, which was already very thin.
Get out and don't come back. You were just a mistake.
I acted like it didn't hurt and shut the door behind me. All I could think about in the car was how sick she looked. She'd always been that way. Or had I just never noticed? Concentrating in class the next week was nearly impossible. I hadn't known Amanda for that long, but I really wanted to know what was going on. I couldn't just forget everything. So on Monday afternoon, I downloaded martyr.net and got familiar with the software. It was easy to use, with just 5 servers: Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma, and Omega. I clicked on a few of them, but nothing happened. It was only on the Delta server that I got a small chat window with 4 users. 2 had prizes by their usernames. We could view what was happening on the server for free, as long as someone else had paid. On the Delta server, there was a girl with tribal tattoos who was putting all kinds of objects inside herself. No matter what the paying client asked for, she would do it. My nerves increased as the day went on. At 3 AM, at least 20 people were on the chat. At the top of the chat bar were the 3 users I saw on Amanda's computer, each with $20,000. Suddenly, a black screen appeared and I saw Amanda's beautiful eyes. But the problem was, She looked even worse than before. What was happening to her?
Hi everyone.
She said, forcing herself to smile.
I guess news travels fast. I had never seen a bar that full since that girl painted a portrait of herself naked, using her own shit as paint.
The chat started filling up with reactions and conversations about that famous night. Amanda stood still, reading what they were starting to describe. I was relieved she wasn't naked, though she wasn't fully dressed. She was wearing the same turquoise underwear she had on the night she pushed me away. Even though she was thinner, she was still beautiful, in a mesmerizing way. I guess there's not much left to say. Her voice was muffled, as if caught in her throat.
Thank you all for giving me so much. My family really needs it, with all the hospital bills piling up because of me. They'll be upset at first, but everything will work out.
Several people were making bets in the chat. Apparently, he knew something about the stream that I didn't know, because he kept betting on random numbers. I bet $50 she won't get more than 3, one of them said. She looks so sick she won't make it past 2, said another. And the bets kept coming. I watched Amanda's eyes scan the conversation as her face grew increasingly pale. She tried to smile, but all she managed to do was make her lips tremble. She was shaking a lot, and so was I. What was I about to see? Okay, she said. She was crying now. A single tear came out of her eye and rolled down her cheek. Then, she waved at the camera after wiping her nose. Okay, she said again. Now her face was red, soaked, with tears that kept streaming from her eyes. Enjoy the show. She started moving her chair farther and farther away from the screen. All of a sudden, I could see something shiny in her hand. It was a kitchen knife. It was surprisingly large and had a wooden handle. She gripped it with both hands, aiming the tip at her stomach. She plunged it in with a slight grunt. She drove the knife into her stomach. When she pulled it out, the blood was so thick it nearly looked black. At first I thought the screen was blurry, but then I realized I was crying just as hard as she was. She persisted, and everyone lost their bet. Before her arm fell lifeless and the knife bounced on the floor, she had stabbed herself in the stomach 10 times. $20,000 just for that, one asked. I just had the strongest orgasm of my life, said the other. I just stood there, frozen, staring at her bloody body and debating whether to call the police or an ambulance. But I was feeling something else, a feeling I couldn't really understand. I just witnessed someone die. And even though the tears kept falling, I felt sick, but more alive than ever. I waited for 10 minutes to be respectful, then I wiped my eyes. I still felt numb, but now I just wanted to see what else was waiting for me on this software.